U.S. Air Force's sixth-generation fighter Boeing F-A-20. Boeing is out with new concept art for the U.S. Air Force's next-generation fighter jet F-A-20, a sleek, tail-less design featuring conformal engine inlets and what looks like a manned cockpit. Just a handful of countries have sixth-generation fighter jet concepts. Fighters jets, just a single generation from now, will be hypersonic attacks aircraft, nuclear-capable, able to achieve Mach 6, have stealth technology, heightened autonomous characteristics, prepared for advanced electronic, cyber warfare, and be coated in smart skin. According to some conceptual designs, features like supercruise technology means afterburner would not be needed to achieve supersonic speeds. The latest image, provided to Aviation Week November 1st, looks more like a fighter bomber than a pure fighter. The tail-less airframe, thin swept wings and conformal shaping suggest a stealthy, penetrating aircraft that may be able to fly supersonic. The silhouette of a pilot inside the cockpit indicates Boeing is banking on the Air Force sticking with at least an optionally manned platform for the future capability. Boeing's new vision comes as the Air Force begins to solidify a plan for the next generation of air superiority, alternatively called sixth-generation fighter, next-generation air dominance, FX, and most recently penetrating counter-air, PCA. The service just kicked off an Air Force Scientific Advisory Board, AFSAB, study that will begin identifying key capabilities needed to fight in the battlefield of 2030 ahead of a formal analysis of alternatives, for penetrating counter-air. The Air Force's Air Superiority 2030 initiative identified a hybrid penetrating counter-air capability as key to ensuring air superiority in future denied battle spaces characterized by sophisticated air defense systems and counter-air technologies. But so far, the Air Force has only described penetrating counter-air in relatively broad terms. We do know that penetrating counter-air will be a family of systems, and will likely include some kind of next-generation stealth fighter to operate alongside and eventually replace Lockheed Martin's F-22S and F-35S. It may also incorporate the new Arsenal plane concept, where multiple sensor-shooter aircraft direct fire from an aerial bomb truck crammed with munitions. The US, in addition to its potential military adversaries like Russia and China, poised to accelerate fighter jet evolution, combining application with ideas that appear to be right out of a sci-fi film. The US Boeing F-A-20, not to mention Lockheed Martin's strike design known as the SR-72, diamond-shaped, tailless super-stealth sixth-generation fighter jet is the answer to Russia's progressive moves in aerial technology, and China's current endeavors with its Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon and Shenyang J-31. Although the US current fifth-generation fighters retain superiority in multiple ways over anything that its potential enemies could put into the air, efforts to introduce the next-generation fighter by 2035 are underway. While these fighters are still in their conceptual development phases, much of what developers have witnessed in the F-22 and F-35 have served as critical stepping stones for future development. With a view to replace existing fighters and leapfrogging the fifth-generation F-35 JSF, the US also has a view to replacing its B-52 with a new strategic long-range strike bomber that could enter into service in the next 20 years. Development of a new long-range and heavy strategic bomber raises questions about the necessity of extensive and expensive research and development, R&D. Particularly when the modern battlefield has shown little sign of necessitating such a military instrument. The U.S. Navy, USN, wants to upgrade its fleet of aircraft in the next 25 years with new versions of existing fifth-generation fighter aircraft and sophisticated variants of older models with jamming capabilities not unlike Russia's Sukhoi Su-35S Flanker. Compare Boeing's newest iteration of the notional fighter capability with an older rendering the company has previously released. The study, announced October 27, will begin to define the key operational characteristics of a penetrating counter-air capability. The PRIA effort will examine likely adversaries, identify and assess relevant